a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. The day I passed my gun safety course, I went hunting with my dad. Weekends in the woods with him were the best times I ever had. So when I hear some politician trying to take that freedom away, I stand my ground. I don't back down. I've got a gun that can feed my family. I've got one that protects my home. It's my right by the Constitution to keep and bear the arms I own. I'm a law-abiding, patriotic American to the bone, and I will defend it. The Second Amendment.
Welcome to episode number 007 of the Speaking of Guns podcast, where we cover anything and everything related to guns, gear, concealed carry, maybe even a little politics thrown in from time to time. I'm your host, Tim Shields.
And I'm your other host, Janet Shields.
Well, welcome back to another episode, my friends. Here we are again, and we had a class since we last spoke with you.
We did. And what was very interesting about this class was I developed a cold last week, and I had to teach sick.
Yeah, you almost ran out of air there at one point during the class, didn't you?
I did. It was so embarrassing. I thought I was going to pass out.
But you made it through like a champ. I
tried.
Do we have anything interesting happen on the range with the students?
We did. Many times, and I think we have mentioned this before, we have a lot of brand new shooters come through the class, or some shooters who have shot maybe one or two times 20 years ago. One of the things that newer shooters have a hard time with is aiming. And one student had a defining moment in aiming. The first shot went in the upper left-hand part of the target, and we discussed aiming again, and I went through some more instruction, and the next two shots were just up and to the left of the center of the target, and then the remaining 6 shots were in the red zone in the center of the target. So the defining moment was when the student figured out, oh, this is what aiming is all about. And I love seeing these aha moments in brand new shooters.
That's great. You can almost see the light bulb come on, can't you?
Almost. And I see the excitement and the change in their demeanor, and their esteem goes up. And that's one thing that I really love about my job. Yeah,
it's awesome. Well, we also should probably give a little medical update on our 4-legged friend. Our little girl, our Godiva, we mentioned, I think, in the last episode that she was having surgery and that she came through the surgery okay, but we didn't have the test results back to find out what the problem was, that, the mass that they took out of her. And we found out since we last spoke with all of you all that it was benign, so we're pretty happy about that. She just, it was kind of a fatty deposit, and the vet took it out, and so she's going to be good to go as soon as she gets her stitches and staples out. So we're happy about that.
Very, very happy. And she seems to be doing much better each day. She's moving around better. She's acting happier. She's smiling. And when people say that a dog does not have expressions, let me tell you, yes, they do.
Oh, yeah. Did you hear that?
What?
I thought I heard something outside.
Yeah, maybe I thought I heard something.
Look out the window over there and see if you see anything.
It looks like somebody in a red suit.
Oh, it is cold out there. Throw another log on that fire, will you, Rudolph? Ooh. Well, hello there, fellow gun enthusiasts. Sorry for the interruption. Santa Claus here. It's almost Christmas, my favorite time of the year. It's a wonderful time of the year when the ground is covered in glistening snow and families all over the world gather together to spend a little time with the ones they love. Oh, and here's a jolly old tip from yours truly. On Christmas afternoon, after the big Christmas breakfast and after all the wonderful presents are opened and the children are ready to take a little nap after their sugar crash, well, it's a great time to sneak away to the range for an hour or so and try out that new scope or gun that I bought you. Yes, or use some of that ammo that I put into your stocking the night before. It's usually not crowded at the range at all on the holiday. You'll be back home in no time, and your in-laws won't even know you were gone. Oh, I also wanted to remind all of you Speaking of Guns podcast listeners that you can stay off of my naughty list and help support the show by giving Tim and Janet the merriest of merry reviews on iTunes and Stitcher. It helps the show rank higher so more people see it. And don't forget to like their Facebook page too. Oh, and be sure to tell all your firearm buddies about the show so they can also tune in. I want to wish each and every one of you a very Merry Christmas and a fun, safe, and Happy New Year. Now, back to the show.
Oh, well, appreciate that, Santa. That was a nice little surprise, wasn't it? We appreciate him stopping by there for us. Let's move on to our firearms in the news, shall we?
Let's.
It's time for firearms in the news.
I think you have a couple of good stories to start us off.
Yes, I do. Republican congressman from the Congressional Second Amendment Caucus is the headline of this story. It comes to us from AmmoLand.com and also the Washington Examiner. And apparently what happened is a group of U.S. representatives led by Congressman Thomas Massie launched the Congressional Second Amendment Caucus. Recent election results present us with new opportunity to advance pro-gun legislation and reverse the erosion of the Second Amendment that's occurred over the last few decades. And I look forward to working with the new president and this determined group of conservatives to promote a pro-gun agenda, according to Massie. And preserving the right to keep and bear arms is essential to maintaining freedom and liberty in our country, said former Congressman Paul Brown, a Republican from Georgia, who chaired the caucus from 2009 through 2013. He says that I'm honored that Representative Massie will build on the foundation that I established with this caucus. With so many laws disarming the poorest and most vulnerable people in our society and others who face real threats, to their and their family's safety, it's reassuring to know that the Second Amendment Caucus is there to ensure people's safety. And that came from John Lott. He is an economist and author of The War on Guns and Arming Yourself Against Gun Control Lies. And it goes on to say, while many of us lawyers are working to secure pro-gun reforms in the courts, it's reassuring to know that the Second Amendment Caucus is doing the same in the legislature, said Attorney Alan Gura, who successfully argued the McDonald and the Heller case before the U.S. Supreme Court. Caucus members will lead efforts in the House of Representatives to pass meaningful firearm legislation and protect Americans against the infringements of the Second Amendment. In addition to drafting and sponsoring pro-gun legislation, members of the Second Amendment Caucus will invite firearm experts, constitutional scholars, and pro-gun groups to speak to the caucus. And eligibility for membership in the Second Amendment Caucus will depend on a U.S. representative's voting record and his or her commitment to the caucus's founding principles, according to this article. So that's actually pretty good news for
Really
us gun
news.
people, right?
Yes. Well, had the election gone the other way, we probably would have seen a reversal of this type of story.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it would not have gone quite our way there. And what do you got? Or you want me to go ahead and do my other story
do
too?
your other story, please.
Okay. My other story is concealed gun permits surge over 15 million. So, hey, I got even more good news coming here to you on the Firearm in the News portion of our show.
I like good news.
The article says that the election of Donald Trump, endorsed by the National Rifle Association and cheered by gun owners who were a little skittish over Hillary Clinton, has sparked an aggressive new effort to force liberal states to take down their barriers to concealed carry permits and gun ownership. National gun groups, such as the National Shooting Sports Foundation, the Second Amendment Foundation, and the U.S. Concealed Carry Association, are eyeing legal challenges to some 10 states that make it difficult for citizens to get and carry a carry permit and buy weapons, such as the AR-15, decried as assault weapons by critics. The emerging fight was sparked by Trump's surprise victory over gun control advocate Hillary Clinton and increased concerns among Americans, especially women and millennials, about crime and terrorism. It's pure self-defense that's driving many, said Tim Schmidt. He's the president of the U.S. Concealed Carry Association based in Wisconsin. They see these terrorist attacks and they put themselves in the shoes of those being targeted. Schmidt's group provides training, insurance, and legal defense for some 200,000 members and is considering merging with the Second Amendment Foundation to form a pro-gun legal giant to take on these so-called May-issue states and those such as Massachusetts, where granting concealed carry permits are partially at the discretion of local authorities. Schmidt, like most of us, believes that is a right guaranteed by the Constitution and the 2007 Supreme Court Heller case. He also plans to urge Trump's Justice Department to target states that make it tough to get a permit or buy a gun and ammunition. And he says that I want the Attorney General to go after these May-issue states, Schmidt said. John Lott, again, president of the Crime Prevention Research Center that charged concealed carry permits, told the Washington Examiner that they have reached a new record of more than 15 million. And in that report, Lott said that 8 states and the District of Columbia that have May-issue rules have handed out 494,547 permits, or about 3.4% of the 14.5 million. However, he added that they represent 26.4% of the U.S. population. The National Shooting Sports Foundation also is moving against states and has sued Massachusetts, where the Democratic Attorney General is expanding gun control by trying to limit the types of guns that are sold there. Schmidt said that leading up to the November election, that polls suggested that Americans were dropping their opposition to legal gun ownership and that there was a growing acceptance of self-defense. Something happened, Schmidt said, and there's a new awareness to carrying firearms. It's becoming more socially acceptable, and isn't that the truth?
That is totally the truth, and we see that with the folks coming through our concealed weapons class, and it's not one demographic that's represented. We have classes that cover all demographics.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we have male, female, black, white, Hispanic. We got, Asian. We got everybody that comes through our classes. We're definitely seeing.
I think we have seen almost every
ethnicity. Yeah, absolutely
represented.
Mm-hmm. What do you got for firearms in the news?
Well, the holidays are upon us, and
yes, they are.
They require extra precautions for firearm safety. It was reported in the Gainesville Times that as the holiday season gets into full swing, many gun owners will welcome guests into their homes or hit the open road for travel. And for some, it makes it the most important time of the year for weapon safety as well as cheer and enjoyment. Gun owners who aren't accustomed to locking up their firearms should consider taking precautions if they plan on welcoming guests, especially if those guests are children. And Sergeant Jeff Shoemaker of the Hall County Sheriff's Office was interviewed for this story. He says, certainly we want to keep the gun out of reach of a child. That could mean either putting it up in a way or in some type of locked container, or to employ some kind of a gun lock. Shoemaker is a regular instructor of the Sheriff's Office gun safety course, where they emphasize the fundamentals of shooting, and he goes on to say, all aspects of safety are really important, so we want to make sure that the students are understanding how to properly load and unload the firearm. And he goes on to say, we want to make sure that we show the process of making a gun safe and empty. All firearms must be sold with a gun lock, which is a device composed of a cable and a padlock that can be easily fitted to a handgun or a rifle to prevent it from being